not even sure where Ralph got the idea of a monopoly, as at the time, Hasbro only controlled a measly 70% of the family board game market. Good lord, man, 70%? Did Mr. Monopoly buy off the FTC? What in the world? For reference, the next highest family board game manufacturer at the time was Tyco, commanding a market share of less than 10%. So if you would please consult the graph, yeah, I'd say this is pretty competitive. In addition to that bombshell, it's also determined that Hasbro owns nearly 55% of all games sold at True and Kmart, and over 70% of games sold at Walmart and Target, and held ownership over all 5 of the best-selling games of 1993. I do think that Ralph mainly sued because he's mad that they rejected his offer, but at the same time, Hasbro's market share is absolutely absurd. But in order for anything to be done about the Hasbro situation, the court would need to find that Anti-Monopoly's claims are true. So let's find out exactly what they are claiming. Claim 1, retailer discrimination. Ralph claims that Hasbro is helping drive other smaller retailers out by offering advertising discounts, supplying only mass retailers with personnel to help stock items, and providing them a preview of products which are not offered to smaller stores. This is found to be partially true. Claim 2, Hot Holdings. Ralph claims that Hasbro refuses to sell its more popular games to stores unless they also carry some of their lower performing games. The president of Hasbro confirms this himself, saying that allowing a retailer to purchase only the cream of the crop would be harmful for our business. Claim 3, price fixing. Ralph claims that Hasbro conspires with mass retailers to fix prices by offering markdowns on lower performing games in order to ensure that the store still turns a profit when working with them. This ends up not being as impactful as several small retailers were also given these markdowns. And claim 4, volume discount. Ralph claims that Hasbro offers volume discounts for retailers that buy more Hasbro products, which pushes smaller manufacturers out as an option since they cannot offer the same, which is anti-competitive. This sounds nice and all, but it doesn't get too far as AMI has provided no factual support for its theory. Yeah, that'll do it. So a bit of a mixed bag there on the claims, but it is up to the courts as to whether these findings constitute Hasbro being in violation of antitrust law, which if they were, would cause quite a few issues for Hasbro, what with their entire business practice being ruled illegal. So let's see what they have to say, starting with the most pressing of these issues, that totally nothing to worry about 70% market share. The big things to see here are whether Hasbro has control over a significant amount of the market and or if it has the ability to control the barriers to entry, either of which would make them anti-competitive. So obviously with holding 70% of the market share, Hasbro would most certainly be able to hold significant market power. But what we need to determine right now is if family board games is a market big enough where that kind of market power would make an actual impact. While Hasbro does have this massive holding in that niche, in the broader toys and games market, they are getting absolutely curb stomped by Mattel, to the point where they don't even have a quarter of the market share from that group. So if they were to try any truly monopolistic plays like price gouging the customers, Mattel and the other board game competitors would absolutely decimate them. It's like this. I currently have a 100% monopoly on blue hat wearing bad board game coverage, but if I tried to use that to take over the board game coverage market as a whole, I would get atomized. What they also need to decide is whether or not Hasbro's control on the family board game market would allow them to control areas like barriers to entry, which they ultimately decided that they can't. While Hasbro does have a lot of leverage being the biggest manufacturer, the barriers to entry for making a new game are pretty low since there are plenty of companies and individuals that can assist in the development, production, and marketing of a new game, indicating that even a manufacturer with little experience in the industry could still introduce a game. This is backed up by recent market data and trade magazines, and they even bring forward that a lot of the most successful games in recent years were made by small independent publishers, like Mind Trap, Brain Quest, Pictionary, and Trivial Pursuit. It honestly could not be going any worse for Anti-Monopoly right now, especially especially when they get hit with the classic. The court notes that AMI's evidence
Okay.
related to barriers to
Not bad.
entry is non-specific,
Not bad at all.
largely
Not bad at all.
while Hasbro's
Not
evidence is based
bad
on actual
at
market
all.
participants. Unrebutted evidence that actual competitors have
Let's
entered
go.
the market is a strong
2x is winnable. 2x winnable. Let's go.
Got to shut this guy up. We are getting freaking murdered out here.
Yippee.
Surprisingly,